Chair, Deputy Chair, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before the committee and support the committee's inquiry into Defence's procurement of the Infantry fighting vehicle under Land 400 Phase 3. Land 400 Phase 3 is a critical Australian Defence Force capability and a government-directed accelerated project. The Defence Strategic Review and the National Defence Strategy identifies long-range fires, littoral manoeuvre and a credible combined arms land system as priorities for Army. Land 400 Phase 3 is central to that combined arms fighting capability, providing Army with a highly protected, mobile and lethal infantry vehicle that will enable our soldiers to operate effectively across a broad range of operational environments and return home safely. Defence welcomes the examination provided by the Australian National Audit Office and acknowledges the findings contained in the Auditor General's report. Defence has agreed to both recommendations and is committed to implementing them. These recommendations focus on ensuring government is provided with greater clarity regarding procurement options during capability acquisition processes and on strengthening the timeliness of supplier invoice payments. Implementation of the recently released Defence Capability System as part of the broader defence reform process will address the first recommendation, that well-defined options be presented to government that specifically include military off-the-shelf and commercial off-the-shelf options. Defence is committed to strengthening how contested and evidence-based options are presented to government. Following a rigorous and competitive tender process conducted between 2018 and 2021, Defence selected the Hanwha Redback Infantry fighting vehicle as the preferred solution. This process included extensive testing and evaluation in Australia and was designed to be fair, transparent and contestable. Evaluation activities were conducted across multiple stages and were supported by independent probity oversight throughout. The evaluation process was conducted in accordance with the approved acquisition strategy and applicable policy settings at the time. The 2017 Smart Buyer process informed the subsequent project execution strategy and first-pass government consideration in 2018. The agreed acquisition strategy involved an open approach to market. Military off-the-shelf options were neither the approved acquisition strategy for the project nor defence policy at the time. Now, consistent with defence procurement principles, the evaluation considered capability, risk, cost and value for money. Defence has documented through the source evaluation report the consistent application of price normalisation methodologies across tender responses. And while price formed an important element of the assessment, it was not determinative of the outcome. Defence concluded that the preferred tenderer offered the best overall capability to meet Defence's requirements and represented the best value money for the Australian taxpayer. Following the release of the Defence Strategic Review in 2023, Government directed that the project be accelerated to deliver capability 2 years earlier than originally planned. Achieving this outcome has required a deliberate risk-based delivery approach and an effective working relationship with Hanwha Defence Australia, broader Australian defence industry and the Republic of Korea Defence Acquisition and Procurement Agency. As would be expected in the delivery of a complex and accelerated capability program, a number of technical and schedule risks continue to be actively managed at all levels. The ANAO report identified 2 high risks relating to mobility and lethality. Defence has made progress in reducing these risks, with the lethality risk downgraded as the risk profile has reduced. The remaining very high risk is being addressed through a staged remediation plan involving Defence, Hanwha Defence Australia and its industry partners. This remediation plan has seen strong progress over the last 6 months and remains on schedule to commence the next phase in Q3 2026, with expectations for the risk profile to be downgraded later this year. The project continues to make significant progress across key design and assurance activities. Detailed design reviews have been completed for the infantry fighting vehicle role and joint fires role, as well as the training systems and support systems. In addition, prototype vehicles have been delivered, enabling acceptance, validation and verification activities to commence in February and continue throughout this year. With respect to the second recommendation of supplier payments, Defence acknowledges that 5 invoices were paid late and that penalty interest was incurred. Defence recognises that payments should be made in accordance with the Australian Government policy and contractual requirements. While current procurement policies and contract management arrangements support this objective, The project has taken additional steps to strengthen processes, guidance and oversight to improve compliance and performance. Defence has carefully considered the observations made by the ANAO and views the audit process as an important opportunity to improve future capability acquisition. The reforms now reflected in the Defence Capability System strengthen transparency, contestability and the presentation of options to government, ensuring Defence continues to improve its acquisition practices. Chair, Defence remains confident that Land 400 Phase 3 will deliver a world-class capability for the Australian Army, while supporting Australian industry and providing value for money to the Australian taxpayer. We welcome the committee's examination of this important project and look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
General Jason Blain just sat there defending one of the biggest armoured vehicle buys in Army history, and it didn't exactly scream confidence. The Redback is supposed to be the shiny new infantry fighting vehicle, finally replacing those ancient M113s from the 1960s. Defence picked the South Korean Hanwha option after a long tender. Then the government slashed the order to just 129 vehicles and demanded it happen 2 years faster. Blain acknowledges the ANAO Audit findings. They hammered Defence on how options were presented to government and some late supplier payments. But the spin is thick. Risks are being actively managed, one high risk downgraded, prototypes delivered, and we're supposedly on track. Here's the problem for taxpayers watching this. This isn't a simple off-the-shelf buy. It's more developmental, with real technical headaches around mobility and lethality. They've got remediation plans in place, but accelerated projects like this have a nasty habit of slipping schedules and blowing budgets. Blain says they ran a rigorous competitive process and picked the best capability for the money. Fair call if it's true, but the Auditor General still rated the procurement only partly effective. That stings when we're spending billions. Australian soldiers deserve gear that actually works when it matters. Industry gets work in Geelong, which is great, but the real measure is whether this thing arrives on time, on budget, and ready to fight. We'll keep watching closely.